It's full moon time. You won't know this about me yet because I've only done 2 new moon videos, but full moon is my absolute favorite. Why, you may ask? Well, the answer is simple. Full moon is our time for shadow work. And shadow work is a term that sounds super intimidating, super scary. But to me, shadow work is the most beautiful inner working tool that we have, because when I discovered shadow work, I learned that I had everything that I needed already within me in order to have everything that I wanted in my life. It made me feel really in control. And perhaps as someone who is like a little bit of a control freak, that was something that was appealing to me. But the main thing that I love about shadow work is, and I'm getting ahead of myself here. I'm getting way ahead of myself because you might not even know what shadow work is, and you might not even know what I'm talking about here. So let's take it back to the beginning. Let me get a little more clear. Let me explain. Okay, so 27th of December, we have the full moon in Cancer, okay? We did our new moon in Sagittarius at the beginning of December. If you didn't join my workshop, join it now. Click, I'll probably link it below or something. Hop into it, because the new moon in December, the Sagittarius new moon, is something that can be practiced actually for the whole year, because essentially the energy of that new moon in Sagittarius was one that worked towards setting intentions which will last for the whole of 2024. And the energy of the Sagittarius new moon in particular is going to last until the Sagittarius full moon around about May. So the intentions that you set, the manifestations that you called in, are very likely to occur if you put in the work between December and May. This is an amazing opportunity for us to grab the energy right now and quantum leap to our next level. Like, the energy is rife, the energy is hot. I don't know if you can feel it, but like, it feels like 2023 was a year that was sort of like galvanizing us and like taking us through essentially like the shitstorm, and stagnating us and like throwing a lot of lessons our way, a lot of tests, giving us a hard time, really, so that we would have to evolve and grow. And I feel like 2024 is going to be the year where like we're just going to be like nudged, and the Rolling Stone is going to go for it, and we're going to start to see the results that we have been so desperately craving for so long. That is my sense for what is coming our way. And I feel like if you're tuning into this video, chances are that is what's coming for you too, because things like this don't happen by mistake. You feel called to listen to this stuff. So I feel like the tables are turning and luck is upon many of us. And again, usual disclosure, usual disclaimer, if you are a astrologist, please don't come for me. I have no idea what I'm talking about. I am not an astrologist. I do this based on the energetics that I feel in the time. I am a Reiki master and a bit of a channel, and I'm doing it based on my sensations. So this is my personal space when it comes to full moon and new moon rituals. I love doing new moon rituals that are focused on manifestation. This is kind of like my quick decoding of manifestation in like a 2-step process, right? So we do new moon rituals, which helps us get in touch with our intentions, set those intentions, declare it. We do vision casting. We do future casting, we do scripting, we do affirmations. All of those things is what I kind of like to encapsulate in my new moon rituals. And then we come over 2 weeks later to the full moon ritual, and that is our time to step into ourselves and remove any limiting beliefs. So that brings me to today, right? Full moon, shadow work. What is shadow work? Shadow work essentially is doing inner work, inner meditation work, journaling, whatever our inner work tool, inner work practice is that we are using. It is a way of going in and finding out what limiting beliefs we hold within us, what blocks we hold within us, usually from childhood, that is holding us back from everything that we desire, that is holding us back from achieving our goals or keeping us small, or in a lot of ways, keeping us safe. So these are usually things that we are ashamed of, things that we feel some kind of shame around. And they might relate to personality traits or events that happened to us that caused us to have shame. But there are things that we are denying in ourselves, usually aspects of our personality that we are denying in ourselves. So we put that aspect of ourselves into our shadow. We don't allow it to kind of live in the light and flourish. But the reality is, what we don't own owns us. So if we deny something that is an aspect of who we are, that aspect of us is inevitably going to it's going to live sort of festering in the shadows. And whenever someone recognizes that in us, which they inevitably will, because it is an aspect of us, because we carry so much shame around it, if someone recognizes that aspect of us and comments on it, or it comes out of the shadow for a moment and sort of raises its head, we are likely to feel very triggered as a response to either showcasing the side of ourselves that we're ashamed of, or someone making a comment in relation to this aspect of self that we are ashamed of. And if we are not able to fully accept this part of ourselves, if we are not able to fully unblock any shame that we have in relation to this, then when it comes out in any circumstance, we're going to get really triggered. So we're going to, go into whatever our response, our natural response is, be that, getting to like a fear state, getting aggressive, getting upset, getting angry, getting shy, retreating. We're going to respond in some kind of negative way. And this is going to happen. And this is going to happen over and over again until we are able to fully accept or unblock this aspect of ourselves. So if this all sounds very intangible, then I want to give you a bit of an example, okay? So for example, one example that I usually like to use, and I use this example primarily because this isn't a trigger for me, but it is a very common one. So a lot of girls have, no, let me rather give an example of something that I have felt myself as well, because then it's a bit more relatable. The word stupid, that was a trigger word for me. That was definitely an aspect of my shadow. There were definitely parts of school that I struggled with. I also really used to struggle to pay attention in school. And it wasn't that I was stupid. I actually can comfortably say in my adult life that I'm not a stupid person. I'm actually quite intelligent. But I was not a very good student, especially as a child. And I had a lot of issues with focusing in class, and therefore I didn't get good grades. So I don't recall if I was ever called stupid by a teacher or by my parents or something. I don't have any conscious memory of that ever happening. But I do know that my mom was very relieved when, as a teenager, I started to show indications of not being stupid, i.e. I started to show indications of actually being quite intelligent, because my mom had felt like when I was young, I was just like always away with the fairies and I had my head in the clouds. And she was like, okay, well, I really hope she grows up pretty and then she can marry someone who will take care of her. Cause I don't know, this girl seems kind of stupid. So I think I might have absorbed some feeling of this observation that people had of me, or maybe I heard people talking about me. I don't know. But as a result, stupid was one of my shadow words. Stupid was an aspect of my shadow. But through using inner shadow work, so inner shadow work can be done through journaling, through inner visualization meditations, and through using these kinds of techniques, I was able to go in and kind of pick back and unblock this and learn to actually love this side of myself. And it turns out like I can fully accept that I am intelligent, but I can also fully accept that I am also stupid in certain ways, right? There are, like, of course, we're not all intelligent in all ways. We have different ways that we're smart. And I can be very smart when it comes to numbers, but I can be really ditzy when it comes to organization. Like I can be a bit of an airhead, like, and a bit all over the place, especially when it comes to objects. Like, honestly, when it comes to these AirPods, I can't keep track of them. And I can't keep track of a lot of like random little things. Like I lose that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of stuff that I am quite stupid about. But because I have sort of gone through the process of unblocking this for myself, now when I get called stupid in response to those sort of things, I see a humor in it, because like it is quite funny that I'm like quite ditzy and quite, I get a bit like loskop, and if you're not South African, loskop literally translates to like a lost head, which actually is a very good word for the kind of stupid that I am, because, I'm the kind of person that like if my head was not screwed onto my body, I would not have my head. So like I know that I can be like that, and I'm able to now see like the humor in that. That is the way that I healed this. That is the way I personally unblocked it. I was able to kind of accept this side of myself and like try and see the humor, and that made me feel sort of good about it. And as a result, because I have gone through this healing process, and listen, healing through our shadows is never fully done. I like to think about it as like spring cleaning. You kind of go through it, you unblock, and then you work through it, and then it no longer is a trigger. But sometimes something will come up and you'll get triggered for this exact block that you had again, even though maybe you thought you'd healed through it. And sometimes you'll find you'll have to go in again, and you'll find different memories or different events that were linked to the same injury, the same wound, because sometimes we get wounded on the same thing again and again and again. Like, if you were like feeling stupid as a child, chances are you got mocked or you were put into situations that made you feel worse several times. So there might be lots of memories or lots of events that cause this sensitivity within you. So now it comes up less and less for me, because with these practices, I have been able to sort of remove the emotion from the word. So there's no longer that like negative, sticky emotion, and I don't have to react to it. So that is in a nutshell why I love shadow work so much. And that is why I love full moon so much, because full moon is a time where the energy is just rife to really take the opportunity to go in and remove any shadows that are in our way. And to me, the only reason we have not manifested any goals that we want in our life is not necessarily because of external circumstances. It is all because of how you feel inside. It is all got to do with a sense of deservingness. And if you are in full alignment with what you desire, and if you feel a full sense of deservingness in relation to it, there is no reason why you cannot have what it is that you want. There is no reason why you can't strive for what it is that you want, because you have all the gifts and the talents in relation to this thing. And the only thing that is holding you back is you. You are your biggest block. And even if you think it is external things, chances are the external things are more like, your family. You're worried that your family might judge you for doing something. But the only reason you're concerned about their judgment is because you are feeling wounded about something that you think that they are going to judge you in. But if you are able to fully accept whatever that aspect of self is that you're afraid that you're going to receive judgment on, then the judgment doesn't hit you anymore. If you can love that side of yourself, then people can throw as much judgment as they want at you, but you don't feel it as judgment. And one of the beautiful things I see about shadow work is once you are able to fully accept sides of yourself that people have maybe previously judged, usually when you are able to fully accept that side of yourself and live in complete alignment with your whole self and learn to love all aspects of yourself, people tend to not judge those aspects of you anymore, because when people show up in a very holistic and self-accepting way, they show up, and when they show sides of themselves that they are loving of, they show self-love towards, people in response to that feel that love, they feel that positivity in relation to that thing, aspect, personality, aspect of self, whatever it is. And like it kind of loses its ick factor. People don't feel the ick in relation to it, and they're like, oh wow, when you meet those people that are just like, they're so charismatic, and like maybe you'll meet someone who's like super charismatic but has like a bit of a strange accent or like a speech impediment. I have a very good friend who she snorts when she laughs, but she is so like, she does not have any issues around it when she laughs and she snorts. Like, she never blocks her snort. She never hesitates after she snorts. She's never like, oh God, I'm so embarrassed. I just did that. Like, she'll laugh, she'll snort, she'll keep laughing. And like, she does that over and over again. And you can tell that it's an aspect of her laugh that she is completely unashamed about. And because she is, like, I'm not going to lie, it's one of my favorite things about her laugh. Like, I know that when she has snorted, like, I've made her really laugh. And because she is so unashamed about it, it is something that no one would ever mock her about, because you can tell, like, she doesn't feel anything bad about it. So like, it's that confidence that people, it loses its not magnetism, because magnetism is a positive word. Like, it loses its edge and people no longer come for you about it. So that is a whole story around, shadow, and why I think it's such a good thing to do shadow work. And I'm going to go into this more and more and more as we kind of go along in the series, as I do more and more of these full moon workshops. As you come along more with me, we're going to go even deeper into the concept of shadow work. But just to give you kind of a first explanation, especially, I mean, we're all new here. This is my first my first full moon workshop. Mercury is in retrograde, it must be mentioned. So mistakes are going to be made. Technical difficulties are going to be had. Actually, a side note here, like, to give technical difficulties a name, I actually already filmed a full moon workshop. I filmed my first full moon workshop in Scorpio. So it was the November full moon workshop. And I was so excited about it. And then I don't know what happened, but there was no sound. And it was such a fun video for me to film, because I'm a Scorpio, which makes so much sense that I love shadow work, because Scorpios love to like kind of go into the darkness. Like, we're not afraid of just like diving into the darkness, like going into the shadows and like pulling out all the like really uncomfortable things and uncomfortable feelings. Like, we like to get involved in the uncomfortable and the dark. So it really is a space that I ironically shine. But I don't know, technology had a different thing in mind. So instead, we're doing our first full moon in December. Okay, so this full moon is a full moon in Cancer. Cancer is a family-oriented sign. And interestingly enough, the moon rules Cancer. So this particular full moon is going to hold a lot of power with it. And my sense is, because Cancer is a family-oriented sign, and also it's December, and it's the 27th of December, Christmas, chances are you would be feeling a lot of triggers in particular relation to your family. So like, old family wounds and old childhood triggers are probably coming up. Like, you're probably feeling all kinds of feelings after the holidays. So this full moon in particular is such a good opportunity to unblock any wounds in relation particularly to family and relationships, and very close loving relationships as well. It's an excellent opportunity to unblock that kind of work right now. So that is the first thing that I want us to think about as we go into the shadow work that we're going to do later on in the workshop today. The other thing that I want us to think about is, because we set up the early December new moon ritual as a pre-New Year's resolutions, I would like us to kind of continue on that theme, and to give us the best chance of success. We are also going to look at the pre-resolutions that we made, and we're going to have a look at what is holding us back from those things. And those are going to be aspects that we're going to be unblocking too. So we're going to be looking at two things, right? Family triggers, and what is holding us back from the goals that we want to have in 2024. Because our best chance of success in 2024 is going to be if we can remove what it is that we believe to be holding us back from those goals, as well as if we can remove those deep-seated family triggers, because those are usually our oldest wounds and usually our biggest wounds as well. And the sooner we can get rid of those, the better. Like, we're better without those kind of OG wounds, as they were. And what I really love about, we're calling in new things for 2024, right? Like, we're looking to up level in 2024. We're looking for that next thing. And usually when you're calling in big manifestations, what you're actually doing is, in a way, you're calling in a new life, right? I'm sure that I'm speaking to very ambitious people out here. And when you're calling in big dreams, that is a life that you have not lived yet. So in order to step into a new life, you have to go through a death portal or a death cycle. So one thing that we look at is, what do we want to come alive, i.e. what goals are we looking at? And this December full moon is the opportunity to look at our lives and go like, okay, fine. If this is the life that we want, what has to die? And what are we going to leave behind in 2023 in order for us to have what we want in 2024? And I think it's a really good opportunity to leave behind everything that we no longer want, everything that is no longer serving us. Let's leave this behind in 2023. So we've done our pre-resolutions, and now we're going to decide what needs to die. What are we going to leave in 2023? What are we not taking with us in 2023? Okay. So first, we're going to start with a journaling exercise, because I like my workshops to feel quite practical. Like, I want you to have things that you can do right away. I want us to walk away from these workshops every time having done something and having properly ritualed together and having worked through something and moved forward. So if you did do the New Moon workshop with me, then I would like you to take the journal that you'd used in that workshop and turn to the page with your manifestation list. If you did not do it, and if you are not in the mood to pause and go and do it quickly now, because even though, as I said, it was a new moon ritual, the work that we did in that one was really relevant for the whole of 2024. You can do it at any point in time, so you can still do it now. If you did not do it and you're not in the mood to, go and have a look, essentially what I would like you to do is to pull out a journal and grab 2 pages. I like to do it one of 2 ways. I always have a journal, and I usually like to reserve the first 2 pages in my journal for my manifestation list that I'm calling in. And I split the manifestation list between like short-term manifestations, which will take 0 to 6 months to achieve, and then the big manifestations, which will take 12 months or longer to achieve. So I either like to do that on the first 2 pages, or what I often like to do, and I must say I do this a little bit more often than using the first 2 pages, I actually like to flip to the back of my journal and I use the last 2 pages on the journal, because I find, those pages never really get touched. Like we very rarely get all the way to the last 2 pages. And often, like, once you get a new journal, you usually start it almost right away. So the last 2 pages are often the 2 pages that I reserve for my manifestations that I'm calling in. So that's my personal way of doing it. It's random, but it works for me. So grab your journal. And if you have your manifestations and your list of manifestations, great. If you don't, pause the video now and take the opportunity to think about what it is that you want to call in 2024. Okay. Like, what is it that you want to come through in 2024? All right. So now that you've done that, I'm assuming that you have paused it. What we're going to do is we're going to take a fresh page in your journal, and with your list of manifestations that you're calling in, draw a line down the middle, and on the left-hand side, write out the manifestations that you're calling in. And on the right-hand side, next to each manifestation that you're calling in, I want you to write down the reason why you don't already have that thing in your life today. Because the reason why you think that you don't have that thing in your life today, the reason why you don't have that promotion, you don't have that relationship, you don't have that house, you don't have that recognition, you don't have that item, whatever it is that you're calling in, the reason why you think that you don't have it, that shows you your block. That shows you what attitude needs to die, or what thing, or what aspect. So go through that. And slowly but surely, once you've gone through everything, you will probably start to see a bit of a theme show up. There'll be some commonalities between the blocks that you have. And once you've done that, I want you to kind of select the three most common, or the three biggest, or the ones that when you read through them, like you feel like you've hit on like one of those aha moments. And you're like, oh, I didn't realize that this was why I hadn't done it. You know, sometimes we think that the reason why we're not doing something, or the reason we haven't gone for something, is one thing. Like, we're afraid that our dad's going to be disappointed. And then when we actually look at it, we discover that, like, no, actually, you realize, like, I'm judging it in a certain way. Or like, it's not just about the dad being disappointed, but like, it's also that you don't believe that you can make money in that regard, or whatever it is that you happen to be calling in. So narrow it down and like look at the themes and pull out some like main themes that feel particularly triggering to you, feel particularly activating. And when I say like triggering or activating, like what I mean is when you read it, it invokes a very strong emotional reaction. That's when you know that you've like hit upon something that is a major shadow for you. When something evokes a big reaction in you, then you've really hit the nail on the head. Okay? So those are the first aspects. And I want you to bring those kind of like, let's gather them in a little bowl, put them over here. Now we're going to think about them, okay? And we're going to work through it. We're going to unblock that. Like, that's not going to be an issue, okay? The next journaling exercise that I'd like you to do is I want you to think about, and this doesn't have to be a journaling exercise. If you don't want to write it out, then you don't have to. You can also just think. So let's think about this Christmas holiday, right? And chances are, like, you've already had ideas as I've been speaking. It's probably already come to you, but I want you to think about like what, in this Christmas holiday, in this time with your family, what has come up that didn't feel good to you? What has come up that, like, maybe it was something that someone said to you that made you feel bad about yourself, or maybe it's a way that you're interacting with your family or with your siblings or with your whoever, that doesn't make you feel good. It doesn't make you feel like aligned with yourself. Maybe there's a conversation that needs to be had. Maybe there are boundaries that need to be set. Like, consider anything it is that like you do not enjoy in relation to the family setup, the family situation, or in relation to your relationship with yourself, but particularly in the family environment. And think about whatever it, like, I want you to write down instances that have made you feel uncomfortable or what you don't like anymore, and the aspects or the events or the relationships or whatever it is that you want to leave behind in 2023. So basically we're looking at this from two aspects, right? We're looking at it from like a goals and aspirations and dreams and manifestations point of view. And then we're also looking at it from a like family relational living point of view. And we're taking all the things that basically we need to leave behind in 2023. Okay. Now I think it is time. We're going to go in. We're going to get comfortable. We're going to do a guided visualization, a guided meditation with visualization that we're going to use to do some inner healing. Okay. Now, shadow work is often linked to inner child work. A lot of our shadow aspects are related to our inner child. A lot of our limiting beliefs come up from childhood, which is kind of natural if you think about it. All of our issues, I think, essentially come from childhood. And what I like to do is I kind of like to go about it in two ways. I like to do shadow work healing both as a visualization and like inner child healing. So we like go in and we interact directly with our inner child and we do healing like that. Or I also like to do shadow work healing in a way that it's like the other side of the coin of highest self work. So in the new moon work that I often like to do, we will usually go in, do some guided visualizations where we come into contact with our highest self, and we work on getting onto the same vibrational level as our highest self. We connect with that highest self and find a way to bring the highest self along with us on a day-to-day basis so that we can start to vibrate higher and match the frequency of our highest self. The flip side of that coin is our shadow self. So I like to kind of go in and do guided visualizations where we interact with our shadow self, and we work on healing our shadow self so that our shadow self can start to match and meet our highest self and no longer kind of hold its arms around us. Because one of the other aspects of our shadow self that I haven't really mentioned, which is worth mentioning, is the fact that our shadow self is not a bad individual. Like, obviously we view our highest self as this like great, shiny, beautiful individual that is like just beckoning us to live a better life. And then it's like our shadow self is this kind of evil, like sort of devil on the shoulder, gremlin, down in the basement that like is just holding onto our ankle, like not letting us go anywhere. But both aspects of us actually have the best of intentions. Both aspects of us are trying to let us or help us succeed in life. So our highest self is very high vibration, and it is just, pushing and encouraging us to get to our goals. And our shadow self is the side of us that is actually trying to keep us safe. It is trying to prevent us from getting hurt because it has experience of instances where when we behaved in a certain way or when we did certain things or when we let certain things happen, we got hurt. So our shadow self kind of took that on and started preventing us from going in that direction again, because it's like, no, it's not safe. If you do that, you're going to get hurt. Like, stay safe with me. So there is that aspect of our shadow self that it is actually a good thing. And from that perspective, I think it deserves a little bit of gratitude as well. So that was just something I wanted to cover off a little bit before we went in and did the guided visualization. So today we are going to be going in and we are going to be meeting up with our shadow self. And I hope that you get familiar with interacting with your shadow self in the same way that it is good to get familiar with interacting with your highest self. Okay, so I want you to get comfortable. I think, especially if this is your first time doing a shadow meditation, a shadow work meditation, I would suggest that you do it either seated or laying down. If you've done many of these before, then I would encourage you to do it however you see best. I am a big fan personally of active meditations. And what I mean by that is I quite enjoy doing walking meditations. It needs to be like a relaxing kind of walk. You can't be commuting. But if you're like just going for a leisurely walk in nature or like around your block or whatever, then that works really well because when we're walking, we're in a meditative state. So I quite enjoy doing a active meditation in that regard. What I also like is if you are the kind of person that has a tendency to fall asleep in meditations, then actually journaling throughout a meditation is also a really, really great practice to do. So especially if it's a guided visualization meditation such as this, where you are healing through something, then I find journaling through it works really, really well. So if you like just open up your journal and you start writing down everything that you see, you write down all your responses to the questions or the prompts that I bring up, like that is a very powerful way to heal through this. So those are my 3 suggestions: sitting, lying down, journaling through it, or the 4th one is walking through it. But if this is kind of your first shadow work, then I would suggest either sitting, laying down, or journaling through it. All of them get you into a really powerful meditative state. Okay, so Get comfortable in whichever form that you've chosen. I'm going to take a moment to have a quick sip. Okay. All right. Close your eyes. Getting comfortable. And slowly bringing your attention to your breath. Deepening your breath and slowing it down. Breathe in for 4 and hold and release. Inhale, hold and release. Last deep breath together. Inhale, hold and exhale. Now allow your breath to return to a more normal but calm and slowed down state. As you deepen your sense of relaxation, take note of anywhere in your body where you may be holding tension. Allowing this tension to gather into a little bubble. And once it is in a bubble, allow it to just gently pop as it's released. Now visualize a warm, white, healing light appearing up over your head and shining white, warm light over your body. And as it does, your crown chakra opens, your third eye opens, your third chakra opens, your heart chakra opens, your solar plexus opens, your sacral and your womb space opens, and your root chakra at your tailbone opens. And this beam of white light shines through the top of your crown and through your spine, shooting down into the core of the earth. And as this light shoots down through your crown, all the way through your spine, into the core of the earth, it loops around, a never-ending loop of pure light force energy, going through the core of earth, back into the universe, and back through your crown, cleansing you of anything that is not serving you today, and filling you with warm, healing light. As you relax into this warm, healing light, imagine the light expanding all around you until you are encased in an orb of white light. Inside an egg of white light. Allow yourself to float here momentarily in this safe space. Imagine that this orb of light is transporting you, lifting you up and away out of your town or city and transporting you to your favorite space in nature. Allowing this orb to touch down and releasing you into this space in nature. Reach out with your hands or feet, touching the earth, and allow yourself to experience the calm and relaxation to be in this space in nature that you love so much. As you enjoy your surroundings, taking note of the temperature, look around and find a path that goes towards a building. Walk along this path. At the end of this pathway, you're going to find a staircase that is going to descend and take you towards the entrance hall of this building. Be it a house, a cottage, a mansion, any kind of building that you feel drawn towards. Walk down the first step. And descend all 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 steps. As your foot steps off the bottom step, you look up where you're greeted by a door. Placing your hand on the doorknob, slowly enter the building. You walk into a room that is filled with natural, beautiful light everywhere. And in a beautiful chair of your own making, you see someone seated. Walk over to this individual. This individual is your highest self. Observe what your highest self looks like. Observe what they are wearing and the expression on their face. Take a moment to greet your highest self. In whichever way feels comfortable to you. Now, once you've greeted your highest self, you're going to part ways momentarily. Your highest self is going to wait here in this beautiful room full of light for you to return. You are now going to head into the basement of this building in search of your shadow self. Tell your highest self to make the preparations necessary and that you will be back momentarily. Now look around and find another door that will lead you down into the basement or the cellar or the sewage or a cave that exists underneath this room. Opening this door or this latch, where you find a staircase or a ladder that takes you down. Descending again, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. As your foot lands on the ground, turn around in this dark space underground, allowing your eyes to adjust to the lack of light. Look around and make this space as dirty or uncomfortable or filthy as you can imagine. Perhaps rats or snakes or spiders are living down here. Look around this dark space and search for an individual who is living down here. Once you have found this individual, approach them slowly. This person is your shadow. As you carefully approach your shadow, take note of how your shadow looks. Take note of their features, what they are wearing, how they hold themselves, how their hair looks, and the expression on their face. Is your shadow able to meet your eyes? Get down onto your shadow's level and sit with your shadow for a moment, allowing your shadow to come closer to you and to become comfortable with you. Tell your shadow that they are safe and they are in a safe space with you. Tell your shadow that there is no judgment between the two of you. For I am you and you are me. Now ask your shadow what it is that they are hiding. What is it that is no longer serving me? What dynamics exist that need to be left behind? Ask your shadow to gather these things into a bowl. Your shadow has been collecting these like precious little keepsakes. Ask your shadow to place those keepsakes now into a bowl that is in between the two of you. Your shadow may be reticent to do so. Letting go is difficult. As your shadow does, take your shadow's hands and maybe assist them. Thank your shadow for keeping you safe for all these years and for being there for you and helping you. But let your shadow know that they no longer need to play small, that it is time for us to spread our wings and to show up as our full and whole and worthy authentic selves. And that we are all deserving. Take a moment to give your shadow the medicine that it needs, to tell your shadow what it needs to hear from you in order to feel better and healed. Take a moment to give your shadow the love that it deserves and the love that it so desperately craves. And with this love, together, take these keepsakes, placing it in the bowl, pick up the bowl, and take your shadow's hand and inform it that together, you two are going to go upstairs or up the ladder to meet your highest self. Your highest self is going to help you heal, and you're going to cleanse through these blocks. Holding your shadow's hand, slowly walk towards the exit of this underground space to bring your shadow into the light. Your shadow might be hesitant at first before walking into the light. That is okay. Give your shadow a chance, giving them words of encouragement, reminding them that you are there for them in the same way that they have been there for you. And let them slowly enter and ascend into this light-filled room. As they alight, Congratulate them for taking this first step. Now observe as your highest self rushes over to your shadow and gives your shadow the warmest, most welcoming and accepting embrace. Listen as your highest self tells your shadow self the message that your shadow needs to hear right now. Look across the room where your highest self has set up a fireplace. And together with your shadow and your highest self, walk over to this fireplace where there's a table in front of the fireplace. On this table, allow your shadow to place down the bowl of the keepsakes that your shadow brought up from the underground space. Let your shadow take a moment to explain to your highest self about each little keepsake. Where has your shadow been holding back? Where has your shadow been playing safe? What is your shadow afraid of? And what dynamic needs to be left behind in 2023? What patterns need to be left behind in 2023? What shape needs to be left behind in 2023? Observe as your highest self listens with love and patience. Observe as your highest self, again in response to all these keepsakes, gives yourself and your shadow all the love and acceptance that your shadow so desperately craves. And tells your shadow that it no longer needs to hold on to these things. And that it is already perfect and worthy and enough and lovable. Allow your shadow to reach into the bowl and as you and your shadow and your highest self join hands, your shadow is going to reach into the bowl and pick up the first keepsake. And the three of you are going to hold this keepsake in the palm of your hand and gently toss it into the flames. As it hits the flames, you watch it burst into white, beautiful light. And as you watch it burn, you see all the love and the acceptance surrounding it. Your highest self reminds you that you never needed to feel any shame because you were always lovable. You were always enough. Keep picking up the keepsakes the three of you together and tossing it into the flames until the bowl is completely empty. After each keepsake is thrown into the flames and the white light erupts, hear the affirmations from your highest self. I am enough. I matter. I am lovable. I am enough. I matter. I am lovable. Once the bowl is empty, observe as your shadow and your highest self face each other, and your highest self gives your shadow self one final hug and sends all the love and medicine that your shadow self needs today. And as they hug, they merge into one giant ball of light. Watch as this ball of light hovers in front of you and elevates into the sky. Observe this ball and ask, what is the one message that I need to hear from you today? Hear this message and then observe as this white ball elevates up into the heavens above and shoots a white beam of light down upon you, through your crown and through your spine, straight down into the core of the earth, warming you and filling you with light healing energy. Relaxing you and settling into a sense of complete love and self-acceptance. Stay with this feeling for as long as you need. And when you're ready, slowly start to wiggle your fingers and open your eyes and come back to me. Okay. Welcome back. How are we feeling? I hope that this was healing for you. And I hope if this was your first experience of shadow work, it was a positive one. I hope that through this you will see and come to see all the reasons why I love this kind of work, because it feels intimidating or scary, but it is so deeply healing. And it is really an act of self-love to go and do this kind of shadow work. I hope that you take the time after this to journal out what it is that you're going to leave behind in 2023. And I really look forward to our next workshop together in 2024. Have a beautiful New Year's. And if you've already experienced New Year's and you're doing this late, I don't think that matters. I don't think there is ever such a thing as late. Like, I know that I'm setting these workshops and these rituals up as new moon and full moon. But as far as I'm concerned, these workshops can be done whenever it feels right to you. Come in and do them. They show up for you at the right time. So with that, enjoy the rest of your week, and I will see you next time. Bye for now.